City of Stevens Point Transportation Commission meeting, recorded September 14, 2020.
Sounds good. It is 4:45, so I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the roll call. So Nicole Listey, chairperson.
Carolyn Peterson.
From Milk. Yep, I'm here.
Alderman Kneebone.
Here.
Alderman Leek.
Right here.
Tom Bertram.
Present.
Greg Capel.
Right over here.
Is Greg here? Yeah, I don't see Greg. Okay, and Fred, are you with
Yep.
us? Awesome.
I'm with.
Awesome. I think that's everyone. Talon, hi, welcome. I see you as well.
Hi.
Talon has joined us as well. Okay. And everyone can hear and see correctly? Perfect. I'm going to press record now for John Quirk. I'll record it on my computer. Okay. We are ready, Nicole.
Okay. So we'll move to agenda. Okay, we'll move to agenda topic number 2, which is the August 10, 2020 Transportation Committee meeting minutes approval. So we'll need a motion for that.
I move to approve the Transportation Commission meeting from August 10th, 2020.
Tom Bertram will second.
Okay, we have a motion by Fred and a second by Tom. Are there any questions or discussion for Susan? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the motion to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll go to topic number 3, August 2020 financial claims report. So that also was in your packet.
This is Carolyn. I'll move to approve the August claims report.
Madam Chair, I'll second. Alder Kneebone.
Okay, we have a motion by Carolyn and a second by Mary. Any questions for Susan or any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the motion to vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to agenda topic number 4, request for central transportation vehicles to be included in the Portage County Jail Emergency Evacuation Plan for non-EOC activated events. Susan, did you want to talk about this?
Yes, I received an email from Captain Ronnie Leach from the Portage County Jail. He is working on their emergency evacuation plan and requested permission to add central transportation fixed route buses into their plan in the event that they were to need an emergency evacuation. I did tell him that in the event that the EOC was activated, we would not be able to make that decision, that all decisions on what happens with our vehicles in the event that EOC is activated is made by that team. He understood that. We also talked about if it is just an evacuation needed at the jail, that we may be able to help with that. However, I would need to take it to the commission and to the director. And Director Lemke did indicate that the decision would need to be made by the commission. So essentially the request is that in the event there is a need for an emergency evacuation at the jail, that they have permission to contact Central Transportation and try to make arrangements to use our vehicles. Not a guarantee, but they want to include us in their plan.
Okay. Won't that be kind of an urgent situation?
Yeah,
Do we have to get up like a quorum or something of like the Transportation Commission, or how does that work?
A quorum?
Or is it just an okay from Nicole? Would that be okay? Or do you have to contact?
Are you talking for each event, Carolyn?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
If it's an
I-
emergency, I assume that's kind of urgent.
It would be urgent, and there's a call list that would be followed, and the first person on the call list would be Joel as the director. And if Joel approves that event as something that we could potentially help with, then he would go down the call list, working with the supervisors to try to get somebody to come in as soon as possible. We do something similar with warming buses for fire department in the winter.
Okay.
We've actually, believe we've only had to activate that one time. But how that worked was very similar in that they contacted Joel, and then we went directly to the supervisor who lives closest. And that supervisor was able to come over and take a bus immediately to the event, the fire event, and have the ability for the firefighters to warm up in the bus. And in that case, the supervisor stayed with that vehicle until the event was over. So it would be something similar to that, only I anticipate that the inmates would be taken to a different location. I don't know where that location would be. I don't think the jail would know where it would be until the event day. No, I'm sure that they would have some options available to them, but it would depend on the situation. So they're also going to include Stevens Point School District buses. They're talking to them as well. So Central Transportation isn't the only vehicle, access that they're looking at. They're looking at other options as well. So,
Do you
Susan,
know where our priority would be with the school buses then?
my guess is capacity is going to be an issue with our vehicles. We have a much lower capacity than a school bus. School buses are typically 65 passenger to 72 passenger. In our case, seated passengers would be 23, I believe. There would be the ability for people to stand. However, I don't know. It'll depend on what they decide, or maybe they would have to use a combination of both. They're just trying to cover their bases right now and have a plan to be able to move people in the event that they need to.
Susan, how does that work with the buses that are from the county?
The buses that they're looking at for using are fixed route buses, the larger buses. The county has the smaller cutaway vehicles. So the
Okay.
capacity is very limited on those.
Would there be any rules, I guess, I don't know what the word is, but for like safety?
Mhm.
If it,
Yeah, there would be guards on the buses with the inmates,
okay.
depending on, you know, I guess why they're in jail. Some of them may have to have handcuffs or shackles. But they would see to that, you know, everything would be following their protocol for safety for their officers and for others during that event. So, yeah. Let me,
Do we need to check in with the unions on that, Susan? Because we have union staff, right?
we do have union staff. To be honest with you, I'm guessing that in most cases, it's gonna be a supervisor that's doing those transports.
Okay.
In the event that came up. However, you know, I suppose there is a possibility for a bus operator to be conducting that work. It would just be part of their job. They'd be paid to do it. You know, I don't think that that would be crossing any union lines that I can think of. There's nothing in the contract that stipulates that that wouldn't be allowed.
Okay.
Would there be any reimbursement to the city from the county? I mean, it's all our tax dollars anyway, so it's, and I'm trying to imagine an emergency at the jail that wouldn't be considered an emergency that would activate the emergency command center.
Mhm.
But basically, you're just looking for permission from the commission to use your judgment if the jail does a request.
Mhm. Right, and as I mentioned earlier, the call chain begins with Joel. So he would be informed as to what the situation is. And he, as the director of our department, would be in a position where he would make that decision, that call as to whether or not he felt that was an acceptable use of our vehicles or a need for our vehicles, that type of thing. And I'm looking here if he gave me any scenarios. I know when we were talking about it, one scenario Carolyn mentioned, you know, what type of situation. One thing he gave me as an example was in the event that there was a situation where there was some sort of rioting or something in the vicinity of the jail, and they felt the need to evacuate staff and inmates, something like that. If it's a tornado or, you know, a natural disaster type situation, chances are there's going to be an activation of the EOC. So, you know, I don't think it's likely that, you know, this request is going to come up a lot, but they need to make sure that they do have a plan in place in the event that something like that would happen.
So are you in support of the request, Susan?
I'm not opposed to it. As I explained to the captain, I was glad that he contacted us and asked us about it. I think that Central Transportation is in a lot of plans in the community and the county, now that we're county and city, and we have no idea we're in their plans. You know, I've had conversations with various agencies over, you know, the term of my employment here, where, you know, people just assume that it's okay to put the city buses into their plans. And, you know, I just explained to them that, you know, they really need to talk to us about that before they do that, because chances are if there's a disaster, the EOC is going to have a different idea or potentially a different idea than what, a certain facility, they're looking out for their facility and the EOC is looking out for the communities. So they may not agree with their plans. In this case, I had an opportunity to talk to Captain Leach and tell him that, definitely if it's a natural disaster or something of that nature that involves a large portion of the community, there will be an EOC. We will be taking orders from them, so he's fully aware of that and totally understands that. So not a problem there.
Okay, does anybody have any further questions?
So are you looking for a motion on this at all, or?
I think it would warrant a motion because it is a decision that's being made by the commission that will have an effect on us. And if indeed that request comes through, we have talked about it, you have agreed. So therefore, I think that's appropriate.
If I understand this right, I would make a motion that we should be included in the Portage County Jail Emergency Evacuation Plan, providing that the EOC is not activated.
Correct. That sounds exactly correct.
Okay, so we have a motion by Fred.
I'll second. Carolyn.
And a second by Carolyn. Is there any further discussion or any questions yet?
I think we probably can trust Joel and Susan to decide if something like this happens, that it's a good use of the city's resources. So I don't have any problem supporting this. I trust staff to make good decisions.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay, let's take the motion to vote then. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next on the agenda is the next meeting day.
It's like it's October 12th, is that correct?
So that would be Monday, October 12th at 4:45 p.m. Are there any that will not be able to attend?
Looks good right now.
Yep. Okay. That being said, then we'll adjourn the meeting at 5:03 p.m. Thanks everybody for zooming in.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.